Hi, family. Welcome back to this week's episode. This is the Gold Corner. My name is Joel Ojeda. I'm also known as the Bearded Ref. And I created this channel as a platform where us as parents can speak about our children, about these children that are fighting cancer, the ones that are currently fighting, the ones that have fought it and were called home already, and even the survivors. We've had a couple of stories of survivors, great testimonies. So this is the Gold Corner. Welcome to this week's episode. Let's do this.
And now it's time for the main event. This is the moment you have all been waiting for. In memory of Mia Ojeda. Dedicated to all the brave little warriors that have fought and the ones that are currently fighting childhood cancer. For the thousands watching around the world, fighting out of the gold corner, it's time!
So last week we didn't have an episode, and when I don't do episodes, I tend to apologize, but sometimes I do need some little time to myself. I need to self care. And people have told me not to apologize, to just, this is something that's needed, through everything that we're doing. It tends to be sometimes a little difficult actually hearing these stories, but, we just need a couple of days to recharge and thank God for all of that. And last week, if you all follow me on social media, you saw that I was actually in Florida. I went there on a bereaved parent retreat. I cannot tell you how amazing that was. And it was something that I needed, that my mind needed, my heart needed, and physically, I just needed to be around other parents that have gone through the same thing. And this is just an amazing organization. And I'm not going to speak a lot about it because we're going to be hearing about it right now. And I am just extremely happy to be joined this week by two people that were complete strangers to me up until last week. And on Saturday that we left, they were my brother and my sister, and we were like family last week. And we continue to be like family, and we are in this fight together. We had the opportunity to come together and honor six children from this great organization. And more than in an organization, it's this ministry that's called Chase the Victory. So this week, I am honored to be joined from Carrollton, Georgia. I have Kiki and Tracy McDaniel. And Kiki, Tracy, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you for everything that you are doing. Again, I'm just going to kind of stay quiet and not speak because I want people to hear the warrior story of Chase, everything that he went through, and just the lives that this young man touched. And just hearing his testimony from y'all last week, it was just an amazing testimony. So, Kiki and Tracy, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to hear your warrior story and everything that you all are doing. So, guys, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Joelle. Yes. Last week was amazing, like you said. And our ministry, Chase the Victory, was really just birthed out of our story, of our son, Chase. And so, yeah, I'd love to share Chase's story with you. So, first of all, I jokingly say that, Chase's name, we named him Chase, and Chase had such a story from birth, and we always knew, we picked that name Chase because we just felt like he was going to be someone who's going to chase after God, and so we fell in love with the name Chase. And when we were pregnant, we didn't know it was Chase yet. We didn't know it was a boy, but this was our second child. So our oldest, we have three children. Our oldest daughter, her name is Karsten, and she is 20 years old. And so she was 2 years old and we were pregnant again. And this time when we were pregnant, the pregnancy started out kind of normal, but then there was a day that I had some cramping and some things that we knew something wasn't right. And so I called my doctor. He asked us to meet him at the hospital. We went to the hospital. We went there. They did ultrasounds. They tried to monitor and look for a heartbeat, and they could not find a heartbeat. And Tracy asked the doctors for just time to pray. And they were like, absolutely, you guys are welcome to have time to pray. And they left us alone. I laid there and cried, and he just kept praying. He walked around the room praying. They came back, did more ultrasounds, and tried to find heartbeat, and they still said to us again, there's no heartbeat, no fetal movement, nothing showing up on the ultrasound. And then I was, still having these other symptoms and signs that was showing what they believed was that we had a miscarriage. And so they explained that to us. We were just devastated and crushed. And the doctor said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go down to radiation, which was a larger monitor in the hospital. They're like, we're going to go down there. That's going to give us a better view to be able to measure and figure out exactly what happened. Like, when did we lose the baby? Like, how long has it been? When did how many weeks when he stopped growing? So we get down to radiation, and suddenly there was a heartbeat. There was fetal movement, and we got a photo of an arm, and that is Chase. That is how Chase's story started out. And so we gave birth, and Chase had a very healthy, normal childhood, lots of fun. We kind of realized that another thing about the name Chase is that as a boy, like, we spent our time chasing him.
Made them sit.
we jokingly said we could have named him like Calm or Quiet or Sit Down. Like Chase became what we did, right? We just chased him all the time. He was all boy. And when Chase played football, he loved football, just like his daddy, and played football all from as soon as you were, when you're like 3, that you can only do soccer. So he did soccer and t-ball.
2 years, and then that was it.
And then when you're 5, you can play football. So he played football from 5 years old, all of his life. And so when Chase was 2 weeks before his 17th birthday, he was dealing with some pain. He was feeling some pain, and he and Tracy, this was right before his senior year. It was the end of his junior year. They were getting ready for spring football. So the football team, of course, they have football season that's all throughout the summer and the fall, and they have a little break in the winter, and then it's spring football, and you're getting ready for the next season. And so this was approaching his senior year. He was a rising senior. He was getting ready for football season. They were out doing drills, getting ready for this senior year. And Tracy and Chase were out practicing and getting ready, and Chase felt a pain in his side that was just stopping him in his tracks. And the pain was so big and so great, and that's not like Chase. He's just not someone who complains about pain ever, and he's just a fighter. He pushes hard through all things. And so Tracy took him to urgent care to just see what's going on, see what's happening. And Chase was asking for an x-ray or a CT scan. He felt like he needed to be looked at on the inside. But the urgent care doctor saw him and was like, oh no, I know exactly what it is. He's got a stomach ulcer. And so this was on a Tuesday. And so she gave them a prescription for some medicine that was going to clear up the stomach ulcer, and he would be fine. And, give it a week or two and he'll be fine. By that Friday, Chase was in so much pain. It was Easter weekend. It was Good Friday. We went to church as a family. Chase was just in so much pain. I was on the executive team at our church. And so, we're busy Easter weekend with 700 services. And, and we were there, and Chase was just in excruciating pain. So we left, we went home. He tried to go to bed. We went to bed, and then he called me from his room and he said, "Mommy, it hurts." And I looked at Tracy. I said, we're just gonna have to go to the emergency room. I know she said it's a stomach ulcer, but this is a painful stomach ulcer, and we've got to get him some help. So we got in the car, we drove to the hospital, got to the hospital. The nurses that saw Chase when we walked in, like, Chase was a big, 17-year-old solid muscle, and he was curled over in pain. And they saw him, they got us right back. And a doctor came in right away, and he took one look at Chase, and he said, "I could not look at this big, strong guy in that much pain without ordering a CT scan." And so he said, "So we're getting a CT scan. We just need to take a look." We told him all about what, urgent care told us about the stomach ulcer and everything. We went to do the CT scan, and came back to his room. And the doctor came back a little bit later, maybe 30 minutes later. The doctor and another lady who was probably a counselor, they came in the room and took a look at all of us and sat down, and he explained, we looked for the stomach ulcer, and we see no evidence of a stomach ulcer. And I thought, whew, good. He doesn't have a stomach ulcer, and he said, "But it appears your son has metastatic disease." And in that moment, I really didn't even know what that word meant. And I was just like, in my head, I was thinking, okay, well, how do we fix that? And he just said, I think he could tell I didn't even know what he was saying. And he said, "Your son has cancer."
And Chase said, "Cancer? I don't have cancer."
Yeah, Chase was like, "I've never had cancer." It was just all, until that point, our only experience with cancer is that we as a family went on a family mission trip, and we served families who were fighting cancer. And so Chase had been on that trip, and we had a family that we served, and we served this family that was fighting cancer, but we had not had a walk with cancer. And so it was just came out of nowhere. None of us were expecting that. And then things moved very quickly. They were like, "We've got to get you to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, where they're already waiting for you. There are two options, Eggleston or Scottish Rite. Where do you want to go?" And we were like, Eggleston. We just picked Eggleston. And so then we were off to the hospital. And as soon as we got to Eggleston, they slowed things down. They were like, "Okay, we don't make a diagnosis from a CT scan. We're going to do biopsies on Monday, and we will let you know, for sure, what we're dealing with." And they were like, "So in the meantime, we're going to, just get you admitted, get you settled into your room. We'll get you some pain medicine and keep you comfortable over the weekend." And Chase was like, "Yeah, I can't stay." And they were like, "Excuse me?" He was like, "Yeah, I can't, because today is prom, and I have a date, and she already bought a dress. And so she's really expecting me today, and she's really looking forward to it. She's got a photographer, so I'm not going to be able to stay today."
Yeah.
And they were like, very confused, and they were trying to understand, did he understand what they were talking about? That we're talking about a possible cancer diagnosis. And he was like, "I do understand, but you said you're not going to do anything until Monday, and she's looking forward to it today." And they were just amazed, and they left, and they discussed it, and they came back, and they said to us, "Listen, If you guys feel like you can control his pain and you want him to go, then, he can go and you can bring him back before Monday.
And we really thought about that. It was his junior prom, because it was his junior year going into senior year. It's like, we kind of considered, well, maybe he can not go to this. He still has his senior year, but he wanted to go because he had made a promise to her. So we promised him that we could maintain his pain.
And so they discharged us and sent us home with morphine and oxycodone pills. And we left and we came home, and Chase got dressed for prom, and we went straight to pictures for prom. And so we left the hospital that day, and he's taking photos and all the pictures. And in our minds, we're still like thinking about like what this could be, this could be cancer. This could be, but they also told us, it's possible that this is some rare infection that we've never seen before. And so we were holding on to that this is a rare infection. And we were praying that it would be this rare infection. Yeah. Everybody around us praying. So Chase went to prom. He did great. He was back home before 9:00. He was exhausted. His body was fighting and he was tired. And he came home and stayed home that weekend. And we went to church that Sunday morning, Easter Sunday. And then after that, we took him back to the hospital. He was needing a lot more assistance with his pain. And they did the biopsy on Monday. And we got the results the next day. And they let us know that Chase did have cancer.
That feeling is still fresh. Right? It's still fresh. As she was just saying it, I just remembered that evening after Easter service and him saying, he was still hurting. And so we had to take him back in through the ER to get back onto the Aflac floor, which is like the cancer floor. Things changed at that point. And so with my wife telling that story, I could feel the actual shift from that moment. So, but yeah, Carrie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so we just found ourselves, when we heard that it was cancer, for us, from in that moment and in the moment that we are now, like we knew that we were not going to be able to walk through this without God. Like we knew we needed him then, we need him now. We needed to, like, our faith was going to be what was going to get us through that. And for Chase stood so firm on his faith, and he just totally believed that like God was completely in control. And we saw so many ways that God was in control, and that God was with us. God showed us time and time again that he had not forgotten us and that he was with us as we were walking through our pain. And Chase was doing really, really well. He just, someone caught the story of this 17-year-old high school football player that gets diagnosed with cancer and convinces the hospital to let him leave and go to prom. And someone ran a story on it. And from there, a lot of news and media began to follow Chase and follow his story. And Chase had this platform where he was able to display his faith for so many people to see. And in one of the first interviews that he did, the news reporter, when he got done kind of going through the questions that he already had prepared, he asked Chase, he was like, how do you have this perspective? Like what is getting you through this every day? Like, how are you able to do this? And Chase told him, and this is something that we quote still today, And he told him that I can't change what's happened in the past. I can't change this diagnosis. I can't change what's been given to me. I can't change that. And I have no idea what's coming ahead of me. I don't know what's next, but I've been given today. And so he made every day the most important day. And so Chase shared that today is the most important day. And every day we are given a gift. And what we do with this day is what matters. And every new day we get a new one. We get a new today. And what we do with this today is the most important thing that we can do. And that inspired us. It inspired so many people for Chase to have that type of faith. And it's what we live now. Like we share that with everybody we know, because when you walk through suffering, like Chase was walking through so much suffering, to be able to have that perspective that every new day is my gift. And this is the most important day. We wake up every morning with that in mind.
I was a proud daddy. I mean, to hear, I was thinking, that's my boy. He said that, you know, and it's a very proud moment, and it reshaped, you know, my mind about, you know, my perspective. What was I thinking? And I was being taught by my son. So I was proud.
And so, you know, Chase continued to do all the things. He traveled, and he was invited to speak and share a story, and he did all of those things. He went to a camp for teenagers that were fighting cancer, and he was on treatment that week, and he was getting his chemo and getting in the pool and going to, you know, all the things.
His nickname was the Fighter.
They called him the Fighter. And then the very next week, our church youth group had student camp, and he went to that too. He wanted to go to everything, and he just lived life to the fullest. And his student pastor sent us a message while they were on the retreat, and he just said, Chase is here, like witnessing to all of these kids, and it's blowing me away. And there was a day that he was just in a lot of pain. He was really tired. And his youth pastor was like, hey, like, you don't have to do this. You want to go back to the room? Like, we can go back. And he said, Chase told him no. He said, I won't stop till they know his name. And he just wanted to continue to share. And so Chase lived in such a way that he pleased and glorified God with every breath and every fiber that he had. And Chase was so excited about the end of treatment. That fall was supposed to be the end of treatment, and he was looking forward to his scans because he was planning a clear scans party.
Oh, and he was getting ready to play football again. Before that, he was going on. He was getting acclimated, putting his helmet on, shoulder pads, and you know, the coaches were amazed that he was doing, you know, trying to work out and getting his strength back and just preparing to move, you know, keep moving forward.
Yeah, and he was just fully, like, full of faith, like never doubted. He was so ready for this day. And so the day that we went to get his scans, we got scans. And then, you know, a couple of days later, you come back and you get your the results. And that was probably the hardest day of our journey at that point. Because we found out that the scans were not clear, there was still cancer. And it was in that moment that our faith was for sure put to the test, because
he did everything that we asked of him, everything that the doctors asked of him, without a beat. You know, as a dad, you want your kids to, you know, to just be mindful of their actions and follow whatever instructions. And he did everything that the doctors asked. And to get to that point where he's been through these, I mean, we're talking about strong chemo treatment. They said that they had to be aggressive with this form of cancer. So that means they gave like it the hardest that they could. And he took it. I mean, the sores in his throat, and there was a time Kiki had gone to Haiti on a mission trip, and I had to take him back to the hospital, and I watched him with the sores, and just, you know, not being able to swallow. And his grandmother came up, and she saw he started getting frail, and she saw him, and she just almost collapsed. She just was like in pain and seeing him. And he told her, he says, "Mama," he calls her Mama, don't cry for me. There's a lot of other kids that are worse off in here than me. He told her that. And so to get to that point, I think it was the first time that we all embraced each other and just wept. We just cried.
And in that moment, you know, to get to what was supposed to be the end of treatment, and to find out that we are still dealing with this same cancer. We still have it. It didn't go anywhere. It's still there. We didn't know how Chase was going to respond to that. You know, it was devastating. We were all heartbroken. We grieved together in that moment. And the very next day, Chase was supposed to be the guest speaker for a fundraiser that Matt Ryan does for childhood cancer. It was September, and Chase was supposed to be doing the speech for the big fundraiser for the Falcons for Matt Ryan. And we didn't know if he would still want to do it. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." He did it. And not only did he do that, he did an amazing job doing his speech, but also that same day that he got his he found out that his cancer was still there. He created a plan. He sent out a message on Snapchat to his friends, and he said, "I want to do something to encourage people, to make their day, make them smile. And so all my sneakerhead friends, I want you to join me, but I'm going to give shoes away to encourage people, make their day." And he basically created what is now our kickback program. You know, Chase decided that he wanted to use shoes, and giving away shoes as a way to encourage someone, and just it's something he loved. He loved shoes. He has so many shoes. And when it's his birthday, when it's a random Tuesday, when it's a new anything, he's got shoes on his mind, some shoes that he wants. And so giving that gift of shoes, encouraging somebody through that, was what he wanted to do. So the same day that he finds out, nope, the cancer's still there, he makes that plan, and he decides he's going to give this speech and to help fight childhood cancer. And so he did. He spoke at the fundraiser on September 17th. It was amazing. Everybody in the room stood up, gave him a standing ovation. It was just amazing. And he did such a great job. He shared his story. He shared that his faith is what got it through. He shared the people who loved him and walked with him, who were there for him. He talked about all the things that mattered throughout his fight with cancer. And after he got done, he sat down, and then Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley, they got up and they did their part of the night. And then we all took a big group picture. After that picture, Chase collapsed in his chair. And I kind of touched him, and I realized he had a fever. And I knew that we needed to get him to the ER. That's protocol, with cancer, childhood cancer, you get a fever, you got to go in. And so we left from the dinner, got into the car and drove straight to the hospital, to Eggleston. And when we got there, they admitted us and they took us to Aflac, the cancer floor where they normally take us, where we always went. But within hours, this is late that night, and within hours, they sent us to ICU because he was having trouble breathing and his oxygen rate was low, and they were just really concerned about him. And what we didn't know at that time was that Chase, his cancer had triggered something called hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, otherwise known as HLH. And we didn't know that. The doctors didn't know. We spent a week trying to find out what was happening to his body. All of his organs were beginning to shut down. And they ended up deciding that Chase needed to be intubated. And that became the hardest day of my life. Seeing your child on a ventilator is really hard. And so for the next 5 weeks, Chase was intubated. And we had a lot of scary nights and a lot of scary days and a lot of conversations and questions and a lot of talks with his team of doctors, with ICU doctors, just trying to figure out what was going on. We finally got to where Chase was stable enough that they decided to take him off the paralytic and to allow him to come off sedation. And he was able to successfully come off in mid-October. And at that point, we celebrated. We had an amazing day. Chase, the tube came out and he was able to talk to us. We had not heard his voice.
He asked for everybody to be there.
He wanted all of us there. He didn't want anybody to leave. He wanted all of us to stay there. And he led us. Chase was in a conversation with Jesus, and what we heard him say, and we have about 30 minutes recording of this, of him saying, "Oh, yes, Jesus. Yes, sir, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus." And then he was telling us, "You guys say it with me, everybody. Thank you, Jesus." And we were just thanking Jesus together, all of us. And we know Chase had an encounter with the Lord at that time. He never talked to us or shared with us what that whole moment was about. But he had a conversation with Jesus right in front of us. And we began to, we all had some great moments in those 3 weeks that we had with Chase. So for 3 weeks, he was with us. He was back, talking. And we all had some great, amazing memories and things that happened during those 3 weeks.
He asked to watch Indiana Jones, the first Indiana Jones, and just a bunch of things that he wanted to do with us.
Things that he wanted to do. He wanted all. We didn't put it together at the time, but he asked for literally his favorite food from all of the holidays. Like he wanted his favorite dips that we do on New Year's Eve, and we made all those in the hospital. He wanted all the things that we would do at Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas, and we happened to have all of those things in those little 3 weeks that we had, and just because it was things he was asking for.
And we were hopeful. We never doubted, because we never got a terminal diagnosis.
Yep.
Never. It wasn't until the day the day passed that we realized that we were not going to have him. We always trusted that there's a means to this. This is gonna be your story. We got the website Chase to Victory because we knew that this was gonna be Chase's story. He's gonna talk about how he persevered, how he trusts the Lord, and how the Lord brought him through. It was gonna be his platform. And that's what we were expecting, for this to be his platform. And so going through those things with them, we were just giving them, hey, you talking about a kid who had been on a ventilator for 5 weeks, he should get everything he wanted. If he wanted a big green slushy from Quick Trip, all he had to do is say, Mom, go put it on Facebook. And she put it on Facebook, and he has like 4 or 5 green slushies brought to him because people wanted him to have those things. Now, a lot of people didn't know how sick he was. We didn't share that, but they did know that Chase was fighting. And so we didn't hinder him. I mean, he ate Taco Bell until he couldn't eat any more Taco Bell at one point in time. It's just he was living, and we felt like that's what he was doing. He was ready to, okay, I'm not intubated anymore. You know, I want to live. And so that's what we were doing with them.
So like I said, we had 3 amazing weeks. We actually were still on treatment during all of that. Chase was doing new trials. We had MD Anderson that had created a plan that they said that was going to be able to fight the cancer and the HLH, because the problem with HLH is as the drugs and the chemo that you have to fight the cancer was all things that would cause the HLH to flare up. And then the things that you have to give him to fight the HLH were all things that made it possible for the cancer to spread. And so you had these two things that he was fighting that were making each other grow. And so we were following the plan that MD Anderson put together. We had a big conference with 17 doctors. They all threw out their plans, and each person, there was a doctor in charge of his lungs, a doctor in charge of part of his neuro system, and a different doctor in another part, a different doctor that was just all of his entire organs, his kidneys and everything. There were teams that were working on each thing, and they were staying together, connected to talk about the plan. And we got told on a Thursday that they did scans again, and for the first time they finally said, it looks like we may have got the cancer. It looks like we've gotten the cancer. We're not seeing it on, we're not seeing it. I think they said we see a smear of cancer, but it looks like we've got the majority of it in his bone marrow. It looks like it's just a smear, and showing up on the CT scan and on the PET scan, it just looks like a smear. 2 days later, his blood work showed that 80% of his blood was cancer cells. So for 2 days, we were thinking that we had got it, and then it's all right back. And that was just really hard. But Chase's body began to, as he fought, and his body began to need oxygen again. And we moved back to the ICU. And that last week, we were in ICU, and he was requiring oxygen, was having difficulty with several of his organs. And the night on Friday, November 15th, a doctor came in who had never seen Chase. He was actually a fellow for a doctor who also had never seen Chase, and let us know that they were gonna be intubating Chase again. And he said, if we don't, we think he has less than 24 hours to live. And they said, but even if we do, it's a possibility that that's what he has. And we had never been told that. We had never been told that Chase's cancer was terminal. And so we were grasping with all of that in one moment. We prayed all throughout the night,
watching his
vital signs, and just praying over him, praying with him. The next morning they did the procedure, and it went well, but a few hours later, we're not exactly sure what happened, but basically I went to check on Chase because they had asked us to wait in the waiting room. And I went to check on Chase. And when I went down the hallway, I could see that his hospital room was full of doctors and people working on him. And they asked me to go back to the waiting room. And they came and got us a little bit later, and they let us come in, and they explained to us that none of the oxygen that is going into him is making its way.
Same oxygen.
The same amount that's going in is coming right back out. And they let us know that there was no oxygen going anywhere else, and that his body was in the process of shutting down. And that was just, we were not expecting that, and we had never thought that. And so our girls, our family, we all came in and we surrounded Chase and we prayed with him and sang worship songs. And Chase passed away at 9:38 that night.
Yeah, it's just because you're talking about his older sister who was there at his birth. She was in the room literally, and was there with holding his hand when he takes his last breath. How do you prepare your kids for that?
Yeah.
How do you prepare his younger sister, who, with all her hopes that he would get up like Lazarus, like the story she read about in the Bible? And how do you grieve as parents and also care for them?
Mm-hmm.
That's the pain we realize that a lot of parents in our position are dealing with, and we're still dealing with it. So we know that there is it's an indescribable pain.
And I think in that moment, like for us, we knew, Chase went home with Jesus. And that's exactly what I wrote when I shared what happened, is I said that Chase went home with Jesus, and our hearts want him and want to be with him. But we're so proud of our son and his faith. And when people talk or think about cancer, and sometimes you'll hear people say, they'll say that someone won the battle against cancer, or someone lost the battle against cancer. But the reality is, we win already, way before cancer and way before anything, when we know Jesus. And so the winning is already done. Like, whether we overcome cancer on this side or whether we are rescued from cancer. And Chase was rescued from cancer and this whole world of suffering, and he is home and he is free, and our hearts long for him, but we also know that one day we will be with him.
I'll tell you a story. One time we were checking out a treatment cycle, and we were going to the elevator, and there was a young man who was getting ready to ring the bell. It was one nurse there, and she was trying to wait for everyone else. Chase stopped me, so he could watch this young man ring the bell, and he stood there and he applauded for him. He stood there and he applauded for him as he rang the bell. And I knew one day, we were going to get to do that. We're going to get to do that. We're going to get to do that. So we didn't ring his bell there. We rang his bell at his homegoing, at his celebration of life. We rang his bell together because we do know that an eternal perspective doesn't end on this side of heaven. Eternity is eternity. And you got to have an understanding that the ultimate healing, as I said on his bedside that night, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And you have to accept that. You have to be willing to be absent from his body in order to be present with the Lord. And that's our journey. It's our story. It's a new life. My wife always says, it's a new life from Chase passing to till we see him again.
Yeah, this season for us, we're in a season that began when Chase took his last breath, and it won't end until we take ours. And in this season that we're in, it is the Holy Spirit who carries us. It is knowing that God is the God of all comfort, that he is with us. He never leaves us alone. And that's what he's shown us. And that is how we are able to survive the pain and the agony that we have of longing for our son, is because the Lord is with us. We could not do it without him.
So that's really the birth of Chase to Victory, when we talk about comforting others with the comfort that's been given us by God. And it's the story that we would hope to have Chase share his fight, but now it's one thing to think that you raise a son to want to live up to your legacy, but it's another thing to walk in your son's legacy. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing that by trying to help other people deal with the grief and the pain. And my wife can.
So with what we discovered really early on was that we knew we did not need to be alone. We didn't want to walk this alone. And we knew that we didn't want that for our girls. We didn't want it for each other. We knew that we needed community. And so really, we took a cue from Chase, because Chase showed us that joy and suffering live together. Like, they are not mutually exclusive. Chase lived a life. He was facing intense suffering, but he lived with so much joy. And in the midst of his suffering, he was encouraging other people. He was the one that the hospitals would pull when a new kid gets diagnosed with cancer. They get Chase. Chase will talk to him. He was the one that encouraged the other teenagers. He was the one that brought people together in the midst of his pain. And so we knew in the midst of our pain, we were being called. Like Chase lived his life to chase the victory. And now God has given that to us. He passed that torch to us, that in the middle of our pain, for us to pull in the other families that are in the middle of their pain. And we're going to walk together, and we've become this community of Chase the Victory. And through Chase the Victory, there are two main things that we do. We carry out Chase's vision to give shoes away as a way to encourage people and to share hope with them. And we give shoes to teenagers who are fighting cancer. We give shoes to siblings who have lost a brother or sister. And we give shoes to anyone that we want to encourage and share hope.
Tell them why we give shoes to the teenagers fighting cancer. Because in the children's hospital, clowns just don't do it for teenagers.
So, Chase was a teenager fighting cancer. And when you're a teenager at a children's hospital, everything there is built around children. And so he was diagnosed 2 weeks before his birthday. And when they were talking about, what do you want to do for your birthday? Like, we've got clowns, we have magicians, we have an art cart, we have jugglers, we have all these cool things, which are really cool for children. But for a 17-year-old teenage boy, it's not necessarily the coolest. And so Chase said to me one day, he was like, we got to do something for the teenagers around here. And I will never forget that. He said it in passing that day, but when he set that plan on the day that he found out that his scans were not clear, and he made that choice that, well, in the middle of my pain, maybe I can't play football right now. Maybe I'm not done with cancer, but I can take something that I love and I can make it something that can encourage other people. And so that's what we've done. We've just literally followed those same footsteps. Now we chase the victory, and we have a whole community of families who chase the victory. And we do that by, we bring families together. The other thing, other than the shoes, the other thing that we do is we provide retreats at the beach for families who have experienced the loss of a child, because that pain and that loss is just so big and so great that none of us need to be alone. And we bring us all together to build this community. So the entire community of Chase the Victory is about, we become a family. We are surrounded with just love and hope and kindness. And what we say is that we are here to share hope and spread kindness. And that's what we do for a whole week. And everything is taken care of. The families just come and just get to be. And we have volunteers that come down. They are just there to love on them. We say that our volunteers, their job is to give hugs. And what we say hugs is hope, understanding, grace, and support. They're not there to answer questions, to give advice, to say what they think that you should do. That they are absolutely, that is out of question for them. For them, they're there to give hope, understanding, grace, and support. And they do such a fabulous job with that. And we are just so thankful that God showed us in his word that he is the God of all comfort, and that he will walk with us, and he will never leave us alone. And he gave us that vision, the call to begin Chase the Victory. And this is forever for us. This is our forever and ever and ever, that we will carry this mantle to chase the victory. And
they say he's near to the brokenhearted.
The word literally tells us that. Like, there are so many things that I think that we as people, especially in America, we think that that these promises that we make up, like that everybody's going to be healed of cancer, and and that's actually not what the word says. The word actually says, in this world, you will have trouble, but take heart, I've overcome the world. That's John 16:33. Like, literally, Jesus said it to us. He told us that here on this side, okay, everybody heads up, like on this side, you will have trouble, but it's okay, because I've actually overcome this whole world. And he also said to us that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. He doesn't say like that you will never have a broken heart, and that there will not be broken hearts. No, he says the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, and God has proven that to us. He is with us, and that we are not alone. And he shows us that again and again and again. And that's what we get to carry out. That's what we get to carry out through Chase the Victory, is to share with other families that actually the Lord is with us. Like, he is right here in our midst, and he is with us as we walk through this hard valley of life that we walk in this season. Like I said, that season that began when Chase took his last breath, and that season that will continue until we take ours.
He said, "Mourn with those who mourn and rejoice with those who rejoice." Now, he didn't say that those were two different people. It could be that's could be that same person. And so when you're dealing in a week, you're going to have those times of mourning, and you're going to also have those times of rejoicing. And what that is expression. Suppressing your emotions is not healthy. And so being able to be vulnerable and express them is freeing because you have someone there who's just there to listen, who's just there to hold your hand, who's just there to hug you, who's just there to make sure that you know that you're not alone. So that's why I believe the verse is clear when it says, "Mourn with those who mourn and rejoice when they rejoice."
Yeah.
Well, Kiki and Tracy, it's just I don't know. I mean, it's an amazing yet heartbreaking story, and it's. I remember pulling you aside and speaking to you, Tracy, and telling you I've been an MMA referee for years, and after every fight, I raise the hand of the winner. And when Mia was going through her treatments, I said, one day I'm going to be able to raise her hand in victory as well. And I told you, and I said, that never happened. But then that's when you shared that story that you shared with Chase, and you told me, you said, but you are raising the hands of those children and those parents that you're helping. And that changed the way I thought. And it was it was eye opening for me, going through that. And without going too much into detail, both of you, we were able to share things, and I was able to share things with you that not a lot of people know, like the handful of people know. And you were speaking about being vulnerable, and that is what kind of made me explode. Was that initially when Mia passed, I just kind of closed myself to everything and to everyone. I didn't want any help. I didn't want to know about anything, but that just ended up hurting me more than helping me. And not only that, but I wasn't going through with the promise that I had promised Mia and God, that I was still going to continue to preach about God, about His goodness, about His miracles. And you spoke about that too, and you touch on that subject. And when people tell me now, and I talk to them and I preach to them, and I'm able to minister to them, I said, we were praying for healing, and Mia let me know the day before she left was that she was healed. And where her and where Chase are right now, they are completely healed. And yes, there's a life before diagnosis, there's a life during diagnosis, and then there's life after, which is what you're talking about this season, and where we're heading and what we're doing right now. And we're talking about Chase, this happened with 16 months ago, you were saying. So it's not like it happened years ago. And a lot of things are still fresh. A lot of things, you can hear a song, you can hear something on the radio, you'll be able to see something that it's going to bring you back and it's going to trigger you. And one thing that I learned is that it's okay to be not okay, that it's okay to have these feelings. And there's times, and we even laughed about a couple of things, there's times that are going to sometimes bring anger, but that's because anger is a part of this world that is right now. And
Yep.
but this, we are not from this world, and we need to come together, like you were saying. And I think that with Chase of Victory, it's amazing, it's really amazing, because I felt the love, and without going too much into detail, it's just something that's not out there, that you all are doing first, and you guys are putting this, and it's just great. It's great work, and um, we have to, right? I mean, this is something that we, like you said, Chase, this was going to be Chase's story. This is a story that he was going to be saying and that he was going to be preaching about. But now the story is with you all, and now Chase of Victory, you're being able to, but he's living through
Yeah.
this himself too. So that's the same way I see it. When Mia was going through her thing, she was going around the hospital laying hands on other children. I said, she's got a ministry and she doesn't even know about this ministry. But now I know that she had started the ministry
Yeah.
that God wants me to have and that God wants me to continue. And as much as it hurts, you got to continue. We got to continue doing this. And what you said, Tracy, perfect. And you both talked about this too. And I told you, like the verse says, there may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. But to get to that joy, you have to have gone through that pain the night
Yeah.
before. And a lot of the times, most of the times, it's just very difficult pain. But there is joy, and there's going to be those days. um so Tracy, Kiki, I wanted to ask you. I just have a couple of questions. Have you seen my episodes? And being 16 months out, what advice, and I want to hear from mom and dad, what advice would you give other moms? Tracy, what advice would you give other dads that are going through the same thing that we are right now? And what advice would you give to parents that have perfectly healthy children?
Hmm. Well, for families who are walking through what we're walking through, um, what I want to say to you first of all is that you are not alone. You are not alone, and the the biggest advice that I can give is that when we recognize that our children will always be our children. We can share, we can talk about them as much as we want to. We can, that will never be taken. Like our children are not only, that is not only in the past, that those are our children. Chase is my son today. Chase is my son always. And every single moment is precious. Like every moment and every new day is a new gift. And every new day we process from the moment we're in forward. And at all times we're processing the everything that we feel today, everything that we feel, all the longing that we have and all the desires that we process from this moment and we move forward and we process from there. And so what I would say to those who have lost a child, I would say that you are loved, you are not alone. We are always praying for you, and never allow yourself to be so separated and isolated that you can't reach out for support, because you need people lifting your arms. We need people holding our arms up, and and we all do. And I would say get people around you who are praying for you, people who you can share with and trust, because you need the Lord Jesus Christ at all times. Like he is the one who restores our soul. He is the one that comforts our hearts, and he is the one who heals. And as he heals our hearts and as we begin to heal, like we need to lean into him. And to the families who your children are healthy and are with you, like cherish every single moment, every single day. Just like what Shay said, the most important day is today. Every new day is a new gift, and everything that you have, every joy, every sorrow, everything that you get to experience with your children, treasure it all. And know that the Lord has given you these beautiful blessings, and he's given you this time, and all that we have is his. Like all that we have is already his. And when we thank him for what we have, and we thank him for our children, our gifts, our time, like we are able to really experience love and life in that way.
And it's good. For dads, I want to say that as far as moving on, there's no such thing. Time will heal. There's no such thing. Um, I think that the real part about it is that suffering is a part of this world. And not talking about it doesn't make it any better. I think that when we learn to operate within the suffering by expressing instead of suppressing, we begin to be more healthy mentally and emotionally. Um, if I think about the children of Israel when God gave them manna daily, and he supplied for them. He said, don't save any, because if you save any, it'll spoil. And so we're always trying to pack things away and save it for a rainy day, but he wants us to depend on him daily. And that's why we say our prayer, and we say give us our daily bread, because it's not I got this, God, I can handle this. It's I depend on you daily. So it is going to be a day where you're going to wake up, and it may take you a little longer to get going in your day. And there are going to be days where you're just going to hop up and you're going to have it all together. But you got to take every day as what it is and manage it accordingly. Don't just try and push through. If you do, it'll explode in another way. So I'll just say that to dads who are dealing with this type of grief. And I'm not a fixer by all means. I'm telling you, we don't have the magic formula, and we are not through this. This is just a daily walk. I mean, I was just crying in the kitchen yesterday. Today, I mean, it's a daily walk. So what I'm saying is that you got to walk through it daily, and don't walk through it daily alone. Okay. For dads with healthy kids, you got to pause. Don't just keep chasing that. I call it that rabbit, or that dream. Life is slowly passing by, and we go through life and not acknowledge the beauty that God has given us. And I remember today, I shared with my assistant, I remember the photo that we took the Christmas before Chase was diagnosed, and it was a picture of them in their Florida Gator pajamas. And I looked at them and said, man, I got some beautiful kids. And I just kind of I was like, man, we have some good looking kids. And so I can remember that moment that I paused for a minute to appreciate what God had given me. And so I would say to dads, don't keep chasing your dreams of success and not notice what you've already been blessed with. Okay? Because once it's gone, you're left with memories. So you're going to have to create those memories as you go along.
That, I mean, it's great advice from both of you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you're right. You're right, Tracy. When speaking that, a lot of people, have used up their time to chase their career, their money, and have forgotten about what God has blessed them with already, like you said. So very powerful stuff. Thank you so much. And more than just chase the victory and the gold corner coming together, I tell my viewers every single week, we are a broken family, but we're broken together. So more than just being two foundations, I just thank you for being my brother and my sister, and for having created this bond along with all the other families and volunteers. That's a bond for life is like I tell people. It's just an amazing experience, and to be able to come together as broken as we are and be vulnerable, and be able to just comfort each other, that is just amazing. And just to show love, how how something like this, and we talked about it, you're having fun, and you realize what is actually that brought you all together. And that's when you also kind of take a deep breath. But God already had all this planned out. God knew what was going to happen, and God knew where we needed to be at this point. But God also is knows how our story is going to end and how much of a blessing we are going to be to other people. We
Mhm.
have been chosen. We have been chosen to be a voice for these children, to be a voice and to be able to be there for other parents as well. So, Chase to Victory, where can people look you guys up? Social media, websites, how can they get a hold of you? And for people that want to donate as well, how can they go about doing that?
So it's really easy because our website is chasethevictory.com. And you can go to our website. You can donate on our website. You can donate. Um, you can also follow us on social media, which is also the word Chase the Victory, all one word. So on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, it is Chase the Victory. You can also text to give for those of you who like to give through your phone. Um, you can text CTV to the number 44321, and you can give that way. Um, but yeah, on our website is much easy. I think the easiest way to give is just go to our website, chasevictory.com, go to donate, and your gifts that you give to Chase the Victory are going to just really comfort broken hearts and to be able to share hope and spread kindness to a community that really needs to be wrapped and surrounded in love.
I would say follow us on Facebook. You're going to get a lot of stories and testimonies from parents, volunteers. And it's nothing that we are doing. We're just obedient. And we're following the hand of Christ as he guides us through our grief. And we're extending that same comfort that he's given us, the God of all comfort, to others. And so I want you to join in their story, even if you haven't lost a loved one.
Yeah.
But look, life is you've come through a storm, you're in a storm, or you're going into one. Okay? So follow the story, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all those other social media things.
All that the kids are doing right now,
Oh,
right?
yeah, the others.
Yeah.
Well, any last words that either or both of you want to leave us with to all our viewers here tonight?
I would just say to every single person watching, you have been given a great gift today. You've been given a new day. And today, God's saying to you, what are you going to do with today? And I just hope that you make it the most important day.
Tracy?
That's good.
What she said.
What she said.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Again, Tracy, Kiki, you guys are family. We're family now. So thank you so much. And to all our viewers, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Sunday to be able to tune in and listen to the story. All of these, social media, all the websites and everything, it's going to be down here on the description. Don't forget to hit the little gold ribbon. It'll subscribe you to our channel. But if you go to the description of this video, it's going to have all the information on how you can reach out to Chase the Victory. Really, trust me when I tell you firsthand, this is an amazing foundation, an amazing ministry that they have going on. And just they're surrounded by so many people full of love and so many people that are ready to love on you. So if God puts it in your heart to help them financially and even prayer, I mean, the power of prayer is so amazing. So if you can pray for this amazing foundation and ministry, if you can help donate, financially, please reach out to them. They'll be more than happy to lend an ear and to give you a little bit more information. So viewers, once again, thank you so much, family. This is who we are. We are a broken family, but we're broken together. And just how Chase lived this life, that today is the most important day. Remember to live each day to its fullest because tomorrow is not promised. And just hold on a little while longer because we're almost home. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.